life and death, good and evil, two sides of a chess game, two forces in the universe, one magnificent, the other sinister. It is said that the devil plays for men's souls. So does Dr. Fu Manchu. Satan himself, evil incarnate.
You have done well, George. Very well. You may go now. So, Mr. Black, are you satisfied?
Greatly impressed, Dr. Fu Manchu. Not even in my own country are we able to train our people as well.
I have raised George as though he were my own. His father was an American intelligence officer in the Far East. He very nearly upset one of my most important ventures. Most unfortunate for him, he had to die. But how better could I perpetuate his memory than to educate his son in my own image? Kolb. Photographs. Mr. Black, you have come to me to buy time for your nation, to slow down the stockpile of new weapons this country is producing. It is quite a race, is it not?
The difference between survival and oblivion. Now, this new secret night fighter the United States government is putting into production. A reliable source informs me it is the fastest fighter plane in the air, radar controlled.
I know who is producing this plane. Mr. Randolph, producer of tanks during the last war. In his house, there is a man who is the cook. He but awaits my orders. Mr. Adams, president of Adams Airlines. Mr. Bishop. He will provide the heart and soul of this craft. Delicate radar equipment.
This operation must be slowed down, sabotaged.
I will end it. Mr. Bishop will be first.
What are we, children? We have to keep this project hushed up?
Security, Mr. Bishop. We have our nation's security to think of. You don't tell secrets to a potential enemy.
And you don't have security if you can't scare the pants off that potential enemy. Now, I say, let's worry him. Let him know what we got. Let him know what our weapons are and what they can do if he ever decides to play rough.
He has his weapons, too, remember, and he's not telling us.
Yeah, but we got the stockpile. And we're the boys with the know-how to build it quicker and higher and faster.
I'm sorry, Harvey. I must side with Scott on this one. We're out to produce the fastest, deadliest jet planes ever designed. And if anybody, unfriendly to us, gets a look at as much as 1 inch of it, they'll ram it right back down our throats.
Not that fast, they won't. And by that time, we'll have something better and bigger.
Mr. Bishop, I admire your rugged patriotism, but let's be realistic about this. The enemy doesn't frighten easily. And no matter what, he'll twist and turn everything we do or say to make us the aggressor where peace is concerned.
But...
No buts, Mr. Bishop. My orders come from the top. And I'm giving them to you, gentlemen. The roof can cave in, but you don't talk to anyone. You don't even think about it. Not even to yourselves. Well, since that's the way it is, I'm sure we'll all abide by it. Mr. Adams, go. Mr. Bishop.
is Petrie, John Petrie, doctor of medicine. I'm attached to the Surgeon General's staff. I'd worked on some weird ones, but when Scott, Assistant Secretary of Defense, called me in on this case, it was the topper. Talk about your gas chambers. Bishop was dead 6 seconds after he opened that box of cigars. Very ingenious. A tiny aerosol bomb containing poison gas. It's got the boys over chemical warfare baffled. But, Mr. Scott, I think I have a pretty good idea in all of this. Who made the bomb and who planted it. A number of years ago, Sir Dennis Nayland Smith and I were working on a case in the Far East.
Is this your only copy, Dr. Petrie?
Oh, yes, sir.
This case is closed, Doctor.
But, Mr. Scott... Now, I know I'm under your orders, but a man has been killed, murdered, and he was killed by one of the deadliest, if not the deadliest, concoctions of poison gas ever devised. And there's only one man in this world evil enough to have created
Perhaps you didn't hear me, Doctor. This case is closed. Some items are stamped for your information only, confidential, top secret. We don't even have a rubber stamp to label this one. It never happened. That's official.
Well, if that's the way you put it,
That's the way I put it.
and you have no further need of my services. Scott's locked this one up and thrown the key away.
Well, I don't get it. You yourself told me you and Sir Dennis traced this same poison to Fu Manchu 5 years ago. Harvey Bishop was big business. If Fu Manchu is in this, it's really big. And if it's that big and that secret, why doesn't Scott want you to help him? Why does he want to brush you off?
Betty, I told you before, forget it. Besides, if Scott had given me a chance to mention Fu Manchu, he'd probably have called a doctor and had me put in a straitjacket. Please, Betty, do me a favor and just make like nothing happened, will you?
Western Union, please. Yes, I'd like to send a cable, please. To Sir Dennis Nayland Smith.
The paper, Master. Harvey Bishop, age 53, died yesterday from natural causes.
You hear that, Pico? Natural causes. Already they become frightened. Highly amusing. But there's one thing that is not so amusing. The arrival of Sir Dennis. We must learn his purpose. Very strange Betty Leonard should make it imperative that he be here. Karamana, you will occupy a room in the same hotel. A room adjoining his. You will arrange to overhear every word of conversation that takes place. You, George, will also be there.
Where would you like your bags, sir?
Well, put them on the bed, please, son.
Your keys, sir.
Thank you. Here.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Pleasant 272095, please. Oh, may I speak to Miss Leonard? Oh, hello, Betty. I didn't recognize your voice. I just this moment checked into my hotel room.
Oh, Sir Dennis, it's good to hear your voice again. Dr. Petrie should be there any minute.
Oh, so Petrie's on his way over, eh?
Oh, well, I'd better explain. He doesn't know he's coming to see you.
He doesn't what?
Well, it's a long story, and I don't want to talk about it on the phone, but... Well, John's hands are tied, and I took it upon myself to cable you.
Sounds pretty important.
It is.
Well, I'll do my best to keep the old boy cool, calm, and collected.
Well, thank you, Sir Dennis, and I'm sure I'll see you very soon.
Of course, Betty. Yes, it was quite a pleasant trip. A little rough over the Atlantic, but we eased round through the Azores. Well, Karamana. Why is your illustrious master so interested in my arrival?
You speak to the wind, Sir Dennis.
this all about? What are you doing here?
I'll tell you later. Criminal was in this room. They'd had my room bugged. The next thing I knew, I was being attacked by this young man. Why, may I ask?
Well, I was bringing up your trench coat from the desk where you left it.
Oh?
I see this door to the next room open and this woman standing there, and you with a gun. Well, I don't know. She looked frightened to me. I couldn't tell what was going on. Look, I'm sorry. I thought it would be safer to ask questions afterwards.
I agree. But this time, I think the police should ask the questions.
We've tried all lines of questioning, but we can't shake the boy's story. If we had just one shred of evidence that his attack was deliberate, we could hold on to him, at least for a court hearing. But I'm afraid we'll have to let him go.
That kid's heart pumps ice water.
I am still not convinced. If for no other reason than this identification you ran down on him. You see, the irony is, I knew the boy's father. I knew the case he was working on. Then suddenly he disappeared. His 6-year-old son and his wife, they vanished into thin air.
Oh, that may be significant, Sir Dennis, and I wish I could help. But no evidence, no charges. If you'd like to talk to him before we let him go, see if you could get through to him, I'd have no objections.
I'd like to.
Come in, son.
Sit down. Mr. Brackett here sent your fingerprints through for the regular routine check. We got back an interesting report.
I never had my fingerprints taken till I was brought in here.
We didn't say they came from police files.
No, we got them from official government files, the State Department. They were taken when you were a baby.
You're crazy.
I don't think so. How well do you remember your father?
Well, that's none of your business.
It turns out that I knew your father. I knew him well. Do you know what kind of a man your father was? Well, I'll tell you. He was a good man, and he was proud of his family. He loved his son very much, and he loved his country very much. That's why he risked his life as an intelligence officer. He was stationed in the Far East. It was there that I discovered that we were both hunting the same man, only your father came closer to trapping him than I did. Too close, I'm afraid. No one ever heard from him again. From your mother, or from you. Until now, that is. And knowing the kind of man he was after, I don't like to think of how your father must have met his death. Where have you been, son? What's happened to you? If the things I'm thinking are true, you must talk. You must tell us the truth. If only for your father's sake.
Are you gonna let me out of here?
You may go.
Was it not possible for George to leave with you?
I knew Petrie was on his way. I could not risk staying 1 second longer.
Very well. George can take care of himself. They will find they cannot hold him. Kolb, get a word to the cook at the Randolph house. Tonight, we make our second move.
I don't think I'll eat anything, thanks, just the same.
Not eat anything, monsieur? Oh, but you must, monsieur. This is an old family recipe. Yes, a piste resistance for over 3 generations. Come, monsieur, try some.
You win.
Bien, monsieur, bien. And now, monsieur, for an appetizer, some Burgundy, 1863, a delicious vintage. Please, monsieur.
George, I heard you cry out.
Oh, I must have been dreaming.
Go to bed now. You need the rest.
Karimna, did you know my father? Did you know who he was? Or how he died?
Why do you ask that?
Oh, I don't know. Fu Manchu has always told me how close my father was to him. That when my father died, his last request was that Fu Manchu bring me up to take my father's place.
If the master says it, then it is so.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Why don't you go to bed now and not trouble your mind about these things?
Fu Manchu. We know he won't stop. If only we knew what he was after, what his scheme was.
Well, let's try to piece it together. Randolph Motors and Bishop Electronics were two top producers of vital material during the war. Now, if this were something ordinary, Scott would handle it an ordinary way. No news blackout, no hush-hush.
Petrie, suppose the Bishop Electronic Company were consigned to make a radar unit, and the Randolph Motor Company a power plant. Now, this is just supposition, mind you, but let's take it a step further. Who would be next in line to build a plane to house these parts?
Well, let's see. There's Horton, Fairview, Adams.
Adams? Well, they have a plant here in the city, don't they?
Yes, they're building experimental guided missiles for the government, as well as new type planes.
Come on. Perhaps Adams will talk.
For you to test your skill on more than a mere statue, George. Now, you know what to do?
Yes, I go to the school. I move in with the others who meet there from the other schools. I tell them I was elected from my science class to join the group in the tour through Adams aircraft. Then
what, George?
I know what to do.
Kolb. He has been acting strangely. See that he is watched. If he should fail, we have another to complete the third and final assignment.
Yes, Master.
Mr. Adams, as you know, we are students from the various high schools who intend on continuing in the aerodynamics field. We'd all like to thank you for letting us tour through your plant.
Well, you're certainly very welcome. Gang, we've come a long way since a couple of brothers spread their wings and left the ground at Kitty Hawk a little over half a century ago. We had a first then, and the United States is going to continue being a leader. That's why you young men and women sitting here hold the key to the future security of our nation, because you'll be the scientists of tomorrow. And all of our strength and all of our hopes for peace and happiness will depend on you. Yours will be the brains to plan the destiny of this nation, of the world. And all that we who have fought to preserve our democratic ideals and principles ask of you is use your brains well. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
It's a pleasure to have you all.
That was nice, wasn't it? I enjoyed that.
Well, that's cool.
Yes, son?
Mr. Adams, could I ask you a question, please?
Of course, son.
It's about, well...
Yes?
Nothing.
What's that?
Same type of bomb that killed Bishop.
You failed, Georgie. You shall die for this.
Go on, get him out of here. Yes.
All right, now, boy, let's have it.
I came here to kill you, but I couldn't go through with it. I couldn't. The man you and my father were after was Fu Manchu, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
I know that he lied to me about my father now. I know that he must have killed him, he and Cole. I hate him. I hate them both. Trying to make me just like him. Think like him. Act like him. To hate the way he hates. Please, don't take me back to him. Don't take me back to him, please.
You know, this is probably the first time in his life that he's cried.
That's all right, boy. You go right ahead.
Congratulations, Mr. Adams. Your test was a complete success. The government's going to pick up your contract.
Well, I guess in a way I have George to thank for that. Maybe even someday he'll help me launch that first artificial satellite into space. You know, he's been placed in my custody.
Which must be a bitter blow to Fu Manchu.
Mr. Dennis, I want to apologize for the way I acted, but my hands were completely tied. I had orders from the top and had to carry them out.
I understand, sir. Just as long as we win the race.
And we'll keep on winning it. Now that you're in full production, we can release the facts to the newspapers.